In this edition of the Dandy Funhouse, we're going to close out 2024 by looking ahead to 2025 and seeing what's on the horizon for theme parks, movies, pinball, and my favorite TOTY Award nomination picks for the upcoming 2025 Toy of the Year Awards. All this ahead, let's step into the Funhouse.
Where am I?
You just entered the Dandy Funhouse.
Hello and welcome to the Dandy Funhouse 2024 year-end extravaganza, where we celebrate retro pop culture, toys and games, and all the fun stuff. I'm your host, Neil Dandy, and while most shows are just mailing it in this time of year and giving their audience a best of mishmash of stuff they already did over the past year, this show is instead going to take the opportunity to look ahead into the new year of 2025 and explore the most exciting things on the horizon. But first, I have to show you these futuristic Dandy Funhouse t-shirts. They do have a front and a back so you don't get cold, and we even cut 4 holes in them with the nastiest pair of scissors we could find. 1 to crawl your body into, 1 to stick your head out of, and 2 to poke your arms through, all because we care. Find them in the Dandy Fun shop at dandyfunhouse.com. And while you're there, be sure to load up on all the go-go juice you'll need for the new year with our Coffee Badger t-shirts, mugs, and bags of harshly ground dark French roast coffee. You don't have to love France to love their harshly ground coffee, but it helps. Just get your wee over to dandyfunhouse.com and get busy. All right, let's get into this new year we're staring down the barrel of. There's a lot of amazing stuff on the horizon, and we're going to explore that right now, starting with theme parks. And I'm going to start with the big thing everyone's talking about because it really is the attraction that's sucking up all the oxygen in the room as far as theme park chit-chat goes, and that is Universal Studios Orlando, Florida Epic Universe. Now, this is a brand new theme park located adjacent to Universal Studios and Universal Islands of Adventure, and it's going to include 5 different specially themed areas: Celestial Park, Dark Universe, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, Super Nintendo World, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. Let's just cut to the chase here and talk about the really interesting part of this new theme park, and the only part that makes me want to visit it: Dark Universe. Now, this is a special land within Epic Universe that's dedicated exclusively to the classic Universal monsters Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. Sorry, not much love for Mummy or Creature of the Black Lagoon, but hopefully at some point they're going to recreate the movie theater attack from the Blob. Now, that would be cool. Okay, but anyway, first off, we've got an incredible looking ride called Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. And this one takes place inside Frankenstein's castle. Dr. Victoria Frankenstein continues the work of her ancestors deep below the family estate. A demonstration of her experiments to control monsters goes awry when Dracula leads a revolt of enraged monsters, including Wolfman, Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and more. Then we have Curse of the Werewolf. Now, this appears to be a roller coaster where you ride in gypsy wagons to escape a pack of hungry werewolves. The animated tour of the Dark Universe land shows these cars spinning freely from side to side. It's got a top speed of 37 miles per hour, so as long as you can handle the werewolves, I think your pops can probably handle this one along with you. There's also the Burning Blade Tavern. Now, upon first viewing from the outside looking in, this appears to be fashioned after the climactic final scene from Frankenstein, where he supposedly meets his end in a burning windmill tower. It is indeed an eatery where you get burgers, dogs, and bratwurst and wings and pretzels, but just the fact that they have the burning windmill from Frankenstein actually on fire is blowing my Franken mind. Now, another eatery in this portion of the park is Das Steakhouse, S-T-A-K-E. This is apparently the more upscale dining option in the area, and it's vampire themed, and it's filled with vampire artwork and artifacts and looks like a dungeon. And there's also Darkmoor Monster Makeup Experience. Now, this looks like a laboratory where you, the visitor, can yourself become one of Dr. Pretorius's mad experiments and be transformed into a werewolf, vampire, mummy, or Liz Cheney. So basically, 2 rides, 2 places to eat, and a makeup shop. You're not likely to spend your whole day in Dark Universe, but if the other lands, especially Nintendo World in this park, interest you, then this very well might be worth your hard-earned theme park dollars. Now, regardless, you got to visit the Universal Orlando website and see the animated tour renderings for yourself. It's really cool. Trust me on that. All right. Let's go to Sandusky, Ohio and Cedar Point. Now, if you know anything about Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, then you know this is the mecca for all things roller coaster. Now, I don't usually talk about coasters on this show, but they've got a new one coming out for 2025 called Siren's Curse, based on the mythological Lake Erie lore of the Sirens of the Lake, who lured sailors to their doom with their sweet, seductive songs. Okay, a sea monster themed roller coaster, what's the big deal about that? Well, this particular coaster is what's known as a tilt coaster, meaning that the cars come to a ledge where the track ends, and then the entire track the riders are on tilts forward until they're looking 160 feet straight down. The track then connects to another section of track below, which is also straight down, and plunges you in a free fall at pretty much the highest rate of speed possible. Maybe some of you enthusiasts have seen tilt coasters before, but I've never seen anything like this, and it looks freaking sick. Okay, 2025 also marks the 40th anniversary of Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Of course, there's going to be all sorts of special shows going on for the year-long celebration, but I'm really not noticing much new here, except they're touting a bigger and more spectacular drone and fireworks show. Come on, Dolly, step it up a little. Well, let's move on over to pinball. All right. I've been trying to find some lists of the best new pinball machines we can expect in 2025, but in my online research, all I'm finding is old articles about 2024, and search results are otherwise clogged by some website called the Pinball Spot with misleading headlines and what appears to be articles written by AI that don't deliver the promise of the headline. Not sure how the search engines are allowing this, but it is what it is. But being the professional that I am, I trudge on. Now, the most anticipated new pinball release I've been able to uncover, in my opinion, would have to be from Spooky Pinball, The Evil Dead, featuring the actual voice of the man himself, Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead Pinball is the 4th game by designer duo Spooky Luke and Corwin Bug Emery. It features a double-barrel shotgun ball launcher and more goodies than you can imagine. The shack, the basement, the severed hand, and a life-size version of the old lady coming out of the top of the backboard. I mean, this thing just looks absolutely bonkers. I cannot wait. Dutch Pinball is highly rumored to be releasing an all-new version of Back to the Future, expected to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the film's release, and this would also mark 35 years since the release of the first Back to the Future pinball by Data East Pinball in 1985. I did learn via naparcade.org of a likely new release from Stern, which would be X-Men 97 pinball. And if you'll be around the Frisco, Texas area this coming March, you might want to flap your flippers over to the 2025 Texas Pinball Festival, happening from March 21st through the 23rd at the Embassy Suites. This will have an abundance of exhibitors where you can see the latest and greatest, along with long-lost classics. engage in tournaments, and just about everything pinball your feeble brain can handle. Learn more and register to attend at TEXASPINBALL.com. And I also stumbled across the 41st Annual Pinball Expo, which will be happening from October 15th through the 18th in Shaumburg, Illinois at the Renaissance Shaumburg Convention Center Hotel. At the time of my recording this, it's a little soon to tell you about everything this expo is going to have, but you can bet after 41 years of them holding this event, I think they've got it dialed in, and this should be worthy of your time and attendance should you be able to get your shiny silver balls to Shaumburg. Okay, are you ready for some movies? Now, before I get into the movies I'm looking forward to in 2025, I do want to acknowledge a few of my favorites from 2024. First off, Joker, Folie A Deux with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gag. Don't groan. This movie was panned hard. So hard I thought it'd get a flat nose. Now, I don't see how this one is not going to get a Razzie Award. I mean, it's really hands down the biggest flop of the year. Now, knowing how everyone was screaming about what a dud this flick was, I decided to go see it. Clear my mind of all expectations of the payoff of finally getting to see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker run around Gotham doing Joker stuff like everyone wanted him to do. Instead, I let all that go. I cleared my mind, and I allowed the movie to take me where it wanted to and tell me the story it had, not the story I wanted it to have. And what I came away with was a magically tragic tale of the prison life of Arthur Fleck, his experience with a mentally unstable woman with a romantic prisoner infatuation, combined with a burning desire for personal fame and attention, and no second thoughts whatsoever about using up Arthur Fleck for how much of this she could wring out of him. And finally, the courtroom drama of Fleck's mass murder trial and his ultimate, quite unspectacular demise at the hands of a fellow prisoner with a shank. It's an interesting yet uncomfortable tapestry of tragedy, fantasy, and the human condition interwoven into a mega box office flop of preposterous proportions. And for the chutzpah of taking everyone's expectations and money, wadding it all up and tossing it in the garbage while extending a huge special finger to all the built-up pretense surrounding it and the audience along with it, Joker Folie A Deux has indeed earned my respect. What say you? Another one that surprised me was Wicked. I didn't expect to like what I thought was going to be some silly chick flick. I tried not to like this, but I did. This is an adventure, a massive undertaking from the visuals to the acting to the music, and it's filled with performers that I don't like, and they're blowing it all out of the water anyway and shoving their raw donut licking talent right in my face and making me eat a heaping helping of spectacle pie whether I want to or not. This movie abused me, and I liked it. Fantastic all around, and this was just part one. Grab your broom and go see it. And speaking of broomstick riders, Demi Moore in The Substance. Wow. I mean, if you've ever wanted to see Demi Moore in the craziest horror sci-fi film you've ever experienced, you gotta see The Substance. But don't take the kids because she's naked in it. Okay, moving along to the movies I'm looking forward to in 25, or at least that I feel are notable. Like Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake. That could be good, or it could burn like a kerosene-soaked tiki hut. Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't know, I'm kind of over the whole Jurassic thing, but I'm sure this is going to be a fun popcorn movie. You know. And then we've got the new Superman movie called Superman. Now, as you probably know, Henry Cavill's out and David Corenswet is in. Henry was fantastic. And he was set to reprise this role, and for some reason, James Gunn, the director, recast the part, and I'm really troubled by that. And I was really enjoying the harder edge, darker places they were going with Henry, and now I'm really not sure what's happening or what's going to go on. You know, I do like the new emblem, though, which looks more like an alien symbol than an S, And in my opinion, it should have always looked that way because he's an alien. Okay, a Minecraft movie. This is going to be the big Jack Black flick of 25, and it looks like a fun one for the kids that adults can also enjoy. I've seen the trailer, and to me it looks like one of the newer Jumanji movies, kind of repackaged, in that 4 people get sucked into a game and then connect with an expert builder who then helps them to survive all the different challenges and pitfalls of this crazy, crazy digital world. Zeros and ones. And then there's the live action Snow White. Now, there was a lot of controversy this past year over a picture of a group of actors who were portraying the dwarves, and people were losing their minds and clutching their pearls that they didn't look like the dwarves they grew up and loved. And I'm going to say it, they were upset that the actors weren't white. And believing that they weren't white because of the woke diversity pushing agendas of Hollywood. And I don't even know where to start with this except to say, these were pictures of the motion actors that were going to be replaced with CGI. These were people that the real actors could play against for capturing of more fluid human movements, more realism. You know, what they look like didn't really matter. Now, I'm sick of identity politics myself, being interjected just for the sake of it. But for the love of God, if you're going to get offended about something, know what you're getting offended about. I mean, come on. This stated, speaking of looks, the premise that the gorgeous Gal Gadot playing the evil queen would be jealous of a Dora the Explorer looking girl with clammy skin and a hairy mole on her face is kind of, that's beyond credibility. It's like that SNL skit where Chris Farley competes with Patrick Swayze for the last open slot on the Chippendales dance troupe. I mean, what are we doing here, folks? Okay. Captain America, Brave New World. Okay. I'm not crazy about the title. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not good or interesting. That said, the upgrading of the B-level superhero Falcon, finally putting on his big boy pants and taking up the shield of Captain America, is an interesting angle. I'm looking forward to it. It's about time Falcon got his due. Too bad it will not be in the form of a true Falcon movie, but you could argue that this is a true Falcon movie in that it combines his strengths with the remaining toys and technology of Captain America to take him up to the next level. Hey, I'll take it. I think what I'm reserved about here is I feel this movie is telling me that Falcon wasn't enough the way he was, and he needed Captain America's leftover toys to bring him up to snuff. And to me, that hints of a disrespect for the legacy that's been built up over several movies for the Falcon character. Now, regardless, it's an interesting dynamic. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I just would have at least liked a better title. Brave New World is kind of lackluster. All right. Guillermo Del Toro's new adaptation of Frankenstein is going to star Mia Goth, and it's coming in the new year. Now, there's not a lot of information out about this one, much less a trailer, and I'm of two minds about this. Half of me is saying, do we really need another Frankenstein movie? Let's move on to something new and fresh. While the other half of me is screaming with joy like a little teenage fangirl. Of course we need a new Frankenstein movie. Then we have Popeye the Slayer Man. Yes, you heard that right. Who was apparently misconfigured and physically altered by a chemically tainted batch of spinach. He now lurks in the shadows of the old abandoned spinach factory on the docks and metes out his horrific punishments on any who might dare trespass. I'm guessing the rights to Popeye have recently become public domain.
I am what I am.
Yeah. There's a whole lot more in the world of movies, but honestly, it's mostly sequels, remakes, reboots. But, hey, Dogman is finally getting his own feature film, and that's Hollywood throwing us a bone. Let's move on to 2025 toy industry news, okay? It's a little tough to get a list of next year's most anticipated toys when we're in the middle of Christmas season right now. So in the toy category, what I thought I would do instead is let you know some of the most interesting toys of 2024 that are currently nominated in various categories for a coveted 2025 TOTY Award, Toy of the Year. Action Figure of the Year. Probably the coolest nominee in this category I found had to be the Godzilla X Kong 13-inch mega figures by Playmates Toys Incorporated. How can you go wrong? In the collectibles category, the one that caught my attention, the most would have to be Deddy Bears Plush in Coffin by Innov8 Academy, which are cute little stuffed bears that come in coffin-shaped boxes, and I suppose the idea is for kids to get comfortable cuddling corpses. For Construction Playset of the Year, I'm giving the nod to Gecko Run, Marble Run by Thames Kosmos, which is a playset where you set up a series of tracks, tubes, funnels, and loops to hurl your marbles through crazy adventures and scenarios. In the category for Creative Toy of the Year, I'm liking the Clixo Tropical Birds Pack by Toyish Labs, which consists of various colorful foam parts you snap together to create your own flock of tropical birds. Now, come on, that's unique and interesting. Now, there's also a category for Doll of the Year, which I'm going to skip because as a 56-year-old man, I don't feel quite qualified to make a pick here, but I will venture to say the doll collection name I found most interesting in this category is Yummyland. Now, for the best educational toy, I'm thumbs upping the National Geographic Epic Circuits Science Kit by Blue Marble. I'm looking at pictures of this kit, and I couldn't tell you what half the things are here, but it looks cool. Way cooler than the science kits I played when I was a kid. I just want to dig in and like geek out on this thing. Now, for the best game of the year, honestly, the only one nominated that I found interesting was Snap to It by Elenco Electronics, which looks like a bunch of components you snap together to make various electronic gizmos that do electronic gizmo stuff. I'm really not sure how this is a game, but I'm guessing it must be competitive in some nature for it to be in the game category. And in the category of grown-up toys, I didn't see much that caught my attention except for this line of high-end Hot Wheel cars with crazy teal-colored tracks to run them on called Hot Wheels X Daniel Arsham Collection. It just looks like a super nice set of collectibles for the adult Hot Wheel enthusiast. These cars, I mean, they're practically jewelry, or if Hot Wheels and Fabergé eggs had babies together. And speaking of babies, for the tiny tots in the infant toddler category, I found the Ms. Rachel Surprise Learning Box by Spin Master to be the neatest thing. It looks like you get a colorful box that you stick your hand into and pull out a variety of different toys, because teaching kids to stick their hands and fingers into dark hidden places with the promise of a toy surprise is always a great idea, don't you think? Safety first, people. Now, in the outdoor toy category, speaking of safety, I am liking the East Point Sports Premium Axe Throw Target game by Buffalo Games. It's a freaking home version of axe throwing. How can you not want this? And preschool toy of the year, Fisher-Price Rockin' Record Player has this one hands down. I mean, it has to be. It's a modern version of the classic toy record player from the 60s and 70s, but instead of just being a glorified wind-up music box, this thing plays real recordings and scratches like a record when you yank on the tone arm, and it's got a great modern look. That's real nicely done. And specialty toy of the year, I absolutely have to not only go with pinball machine maker Gumball Rally by Thames Kosmos, but I don't see how I could stand to live with myself if I didn't get my hands on one of these and do a full-on review for this show in the coming year. I mean, this is a kit you put together your own actual working pinball machine, and the ball is a gumball. It's pinball and a treat. This is going to be on my show agenda for next year. All right, in the tech toy category, I don't know if I actually like this thing or if I'm creeped out by it or a little of both, but I found the Hero sound sensing robot by Thames Kosmos, again, to be the neatest thing going here. You basically assemble a 6-legged robot that resembles that responds to audible cues via a handheld clicker like the robot toys we had back in the 70s, but this thing's more sophisticated, and it also dances. And it looks kind of like a mechanical Cyclops spider. Definitely something you want to point towards your sister's bedroom and crawl in there after dark. And that's our look ahead at all the amusements to watch for in 2025. What are you looking forward to? Let me know. If you're enjoying this episode on one of the socials, leave a comment. Otherwise, you can email me at neil@dandyfunhouse.com. I don't usually like doing retrospectives, but I am going to look back at 2024 for just a moment here and would like to say my favorite episode was undoubtedly the Halloween episode. It's always the Halloween episode, and it's always the episode that has my lowest ratings as far as viewership and listenership and readership, but I don't care. I love Halloween, and this year we had the amazing return of Count Drahoon, which just put everything on a whole nother level. Now, Dandy Funhouse plans for 2025? I would love to start including content from you. Yeah, you! Like your theme park visits, toy and game reviews, fun retro amusements. I would really like someone in the pinball industry to show off new machines as well as retro classic pinball. Just remember, while this show is not aimed at kids, it is family friendly and supposed to be something you can enjoy with the kids. So don't be raunchy. You can be gross, just don't be raunchy. Feel free to include a quick plug for yourself and your business, as long as the whole thing isn't just one big commercial. Sound interesting? Send me links to your short form videos at neil@dandyfunhouse.com, or just use the contact form at the Dandy Funhouse website, dandyfunhouse.com, where you'll also find our patronage page. If you've ever found any value at all in the Dandy Funhouse and would like to support future productions, please consider either buying some merch from the Dandy Fun Shop or becoming a Funhouse supporter via a financial donation. Supporters gain access to exclusive bonus content, and super supporters gain access to that same content. Plus, I will personally mail you something amazing from right here at the Dandy Funhouse Studios if you include your mailing address. Podcast listeners may often support through a donation link in your listening app of choice if the app offers it. Not all do. Just look for a little button with a $sign on it. And your 5-star reviews, wherever you're able to leave them, are highly appreciated. And that, ladies and gentlemen, puts a bow on 2024. Come on back next year for some amazing new adventures in 25, right here at the Dandy Funhouse, where everything is always fun and dandy. See you next year.
Selamat Pigeon Forge.
Ja, maar